Who are you? A name perhaps you'd hoped you'd never hear again. A phantom! A shadow of a former life! I am Dave! 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 Dave? Dave!
Dave!
Dave! Ah.
Well, that was awkward.
Yes, it was.
Good evening. Welcome to the Steelers Sanctuary Podcast. I'm Leanne Lohman and joined tonight by Dave Ribeiro, David Korb, and Bob Quinn. Zach Franciscus is taking the evening off. So, Zach, if you're watching, we love you and can't wait to see you on the next show. So there is so much to get to tonight. It's hard to believe that is like the week ahead of free agency, but maybe that's why the rumors are going crazy. So Monday kicks off the tampering period. Wednesday kicks off the official free agency window. Of course, if you listen to most of the insiders, they say that is all irrelevant because everything's already been going on already, which is why they inked those deals at like 4 p.m. on Wednesday. So I think the biggest news to come out this week for as far as the Steelers are concerned is the fact that DK Metcalf requested a trade out of Seattle. And I mean, immediately skyrocketed to the top, I think, of most fans' wish list for potential wide receiver. Dave, what were your thoughts when you saw that? How do you think that works for us?
I remain skeptical that any wide receiver with the brain is going to want to come here, but I guess it depends too. It's a trade, so it depends on how much the Steelers are willing to offer. We've seen all kinds of crazy stuff. It seems like a first and a third is the going rate right now. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little steep, but
Would you give them a first and third? I mean, set aside the quarterback and whether they want to come or not. You know what I mean? If that's what it took, well, how would you, and you heard that was the deal, how would you feel about that?
I think you have to, right? I mean, who else is left in free agency? If they don't get DK, then you're down to Darius Slayton.
He seems like a step above like the other options, and we'll talk about Christian Kirk, but we saw that he was traded. So, I mean, he certainly feels like a step above.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Kirk,
I mean,
or some of the other options. At least he's younger.
I mean, him and George Pickens would be
Unbelievable.
must-see viewing while they're beating up all the opposing cornerbacks and starting fights, and that could be.
But if Pickens goes off the rails and let's say has a holdout, because we don't offer him an extension, and then you've got DK Metcalf, you can afford to trade Pickens somewhere.
That is definitely possible.
It's an idea.
What do you guys think? Would you give up first and third for DK?
No way.
No.
Not a first. I would give up a third, but not a first. There's first of all, it's always the big S. They're going to start. Very few wide receivers ever get traded for a first round, even though they ask it. I think this ends up being a third, and you probably have to throw in, either another draft pick this year or next year. So $17 million, he's 27 years old. Him and Pickens would be volatile. It would literally be who's going to melt down first. I've seen some thrown around. Well, he'll only come if Russell Wilson is our quarterback. Well, if that's your fucking terms, buddy, no, thank you.
I don't think that's true. Do you guys think that's true?
that.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't believe that.
That's the rumor, but I don't think it's a first or a third. I think he'll go for a third somewhere.
Yeah, here's the thing. He had 66 receptions for 992 yards last season. He has not had a season where he had less than 900 yards. Every single season, he's had 900 yards or more receiving. He only had 5 touchdowns this past season, so it's down for him. But still, he's still being productive. I'd take that production in a fucking minute, But, I wouldn't do first and third. I think that's way too much. I wouldn't do that.
If you watch his game, he's a go ball. He's a go ball guy. And
there's a little bit more to that, but I think it is kind of repetitive to what George Pickens gives you. So you got two
of the same guy.
Kind of the same receivers.
They are. Combative catches.
Yeah.
Deep ball guy. I get that, but he is a force to be reckoned with. He's a tough. If you got two of those guys out there, one of them should get open.
This is the best receiver that's been available. He's right up there with Ayuk with me.
There's a better receiver already available though.
Christian Kirk got signed, man.
Devontae Adams is a free agent.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a minute.
But who's the receiver that's better than him available?
Devontae. I take Devontae 100 times out of 100. He still had over 1,000 yards last year.
I know.
So
I
yeah,
don't
actually,
think that's the only benchmark. I mean, he's so much older.
well, Devontae Adams had 1,063 yards, 85
Right.
receptions, 8 TDs. He's had 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons in the last 6 years.
And
And how
showed
old is he?
no
30?
signs of falling
And
off.
so I
32.
get the 32, but like my man's still producing. He still produced better than Metcalf. He still produced better. Well, Kirk was hurt, but I mean, my man was still one of the top producing wide receivers. You talk about Aaron Rodgers and how great he is, and how he was top 10 and everything else. Guess what? So is Devontae Adams.
And
So it's
just-
one of those things.
just to throw it out there, not to compare, don't get carried away. But Jerry Rice played till he was 41. Tim Brown played into his late 30s and were highly effective. So just
Different teams, different players.
there's no drop off. Yeah, it was harder to be effective into your late age back then. These guys, Adams, no sign of fall off. He's been, and at one time 2 or 3 years ago, he's the best wide receiver in football 2 or 3 years ago.
Hey, guys, I just think it always comes down to money. Like,
Yeah.
What's he gonna want? That's my thing when it comes to factoring in his age and his production, and that's the way I look at it. Like, if my
I
man
think
wants
that's
to be
really
paid,
valid.
Yeah.
Because then you're looking at that, do you know what I mean? So if you put all those things into like a ratio or whatever, of
Right.
the value for you, do you know what I mean? Is he so expensive that it takes away, like it makes DK a better value in your opinion? Number
Exactly.
too, that DK is one of the better blocking options as well. And I think that's another point, considering Pickens would just arbitrarily decide not to fucking block sometimes.
Well, you got to decide whether it's either benefits you more to trade, say a third and whatever for Metcalf, or to go pay. What are you going to pay to go get, Devontae Adams? And that's the thing. Like, would you give up a third and say Roman Wilson to get DK Metcalf, or it have to be a 4th rounder and Roman Wilson to get DK Metcalf, or would you rather pay Devontae Adams $20 million 1 year, $20 million? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know which one of those you guys would rather do, because if Devontae Adams was to come here on a I want to play for Mike Tomlin, favorable deal, fuck yeah, I'm taking that.
Oh, sure. But
Right?
do you really think that's going to happen? I don't think that's
No,
going to happen.
but I'm saying if that would be what it is, then it makes it an easy decision for me. That's
Right.
my point. But
Yeah.
but there's I'm not giving up a 1st and 3rd for DK Metcalf. There ain't no fucking way.
And just to throw out the big poppy. So since 2020, just the last 5 years, 2 years in Green Bay, 2 years in Vegas with trash. Devontae Adams, 115 catches, 1,300 yards. 123 catches, 1,500 yards. 100 catches, 1,500 yards. 103 catches, almost 1,150 yards. His off year last year, he fell off to 85 catches and 1,000 yards. Yeah, that's pretty generational to me. That's Antonio Brown like.
Oh, I wouldn't compare him to Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown?
Take the same, the little 6-year stretch.
Yeah, use your eyes, Bob. I know you.
Wait.
can
Are you
stats are
comparing-
Use
close.
your eyes.
Use your
Devontae
eyes.
Adams was the best wide receiver in football.
Who are you comparing? We're comparing Devontae Adams to
Antonio
Antonio Brown?
Antonio Brown. It's not even close to me. It's not even close to me.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown's the 2nd best receiver of all time, and a 3rd best receiver of all time.
I wouldn't go that far. He probably had one of the best 5-year stretches of any receiver of all time. But this stretch that Devontae Adams had over the last 5 years is easily comparable.
Devontae Adams has had a hell of a career. Am I ready to put him in Antonio Brown career?
No.
I'm not sure I'm quite there, but I mean, it's close.
He's got more catches, more yards, more touchdowns.
No, I think it's close. I think it's close.
He's played a lot longer. Too.
I don't think
I mean,
it's I don't think it's
Antonio
something
Brown
where
went postal.
It's
I
a
mean,
clear cut. He's not. I think it's definitely close. He's had a hell of a career.
Yeah, it's not. And first of all, Antonio Brown played 11 years. Devontae Adams has played 11 years.
12. Or no, he's entering his 12th season. I'm sorry.
He's entering his 12th season. I'm sorry, Antonio Brown played 12 seasons. So, and he's already got, and I'm sorry, I misspoke. He's already got 30 more catches than Antonio Brown for his career in 11 seasons. He's about 400 yards short of him in yardage. But if you look at Brown's great stretch,
stat compilers, and just look, use your eyes. Antonio Brown was
a stat compiler. He was the only guy Ben was throwing to.
I don't want to get. I don't want to get. I don't want to get in the
that
weeds.
compiler. You got
Honestly,
Yeah.
who cares?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is kind
Honestly,
of a stupid
who
argument.
cares?
So let's shift for a minute and talk about Christian Kirk. We brought him up briefly. The news broke that the Jaguars are trading Kirk to the Houston Texans. And it's kind of interesting because it looks like they were planning on releasing him anyways, but they've decided to go ahead and give him a 2026 seventh round pick. And I know when Steelers fans initially heard that, like we all imploded and thought, we really shit the bed on that one. But there is some salary implications there. He signed a 4-year, $72 million deal in 2022. And is the Jaguars' highest cap number for 2025 at $24.4 million. He's set to be paid a $15.5 million salary in 2025. So once you guys heard about the salary, did that make you feel like, okay, maybe that wasn't worth it, or you still would have wanted to take a swing for him?
I didn't want him. I was on record saying I didn't really want him. I didn't think he moved the needle very much. And injuries have ended his seasons, the last 2 seasons. So, he's injury prone now. He's going to be 29. He's okay. He's not great. I don't know. And the 15 million, when you think about it for receivers, isn't really that bad, but I'm okay with them passing on him. As much as I want to pick on, the con artist, I think this is a good pass.
Do you think we were in play for him even, Darth asked? Were we even in play?
Well, they were last year, so I assume.
Yeah.
I think a couple people said, they were waiting on him to be released, and then we're going to try to sign him, which I think most of the league was.
Yeah.
Then
I'm assuming that's why they jumped for the trade, to be able to leapfrog.
Can you imagine? Go ahead, Bob.
I was going to say they traded him in the division. I'm in Jacksonville. They were going to cut him. There was no doubt they were going to cut him. Yeah, and Houston jumps up and says, we'll take on his $16-17 million salary. They brought up in prep that it's probably because Tank Dell is now going to be out for 2025. So, look, paying him 16-17 million, let's just say you can get, Devontae Adams for 18. You can get DK Metcalf for 17. Why the hell are you going to pay Christian Kirk 16, especially when he's about to hit the free agent market? Houston was desperate. They gave up a 7th rounder. I mean, it's a pure salary dump for Jacksonville. I mean, they're cut. They cut Evan Ingram. They cut a bunch of other guys today. I mean, they're just saying, screw it. Let's just get rid of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, can you imagine the contract they gave him? 4 years, $72 million, $37 million guaranteed. And this guy has only had 11 touchdowns in the 3 years that he's been with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would lose my mind. Only had 379 yards receiving last year because of injury, 1 touchdown. I just, for only a guy that's only had 1,000-yard season, there ain't no fucking way I'm paying him $16.2 million. There's
People
just
freaked
no
out
way.
about that contract at the time, remember? Because the Jaguars blew up the market for wide receivers. They gave Kirk that big money, and then it cost everybody else to sign really good free agents to.
And he did do good his first season with them. I think he had over 1,000 yards, and I think he actually produced. That was probably his best touchdown production season too, I think, with them. And then all of a sudden, it just went downhill, and it's good on them actually to actually get a pick for him. And salary dump him. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. The Texans probably think that if he bounces back, he'll have a quarterback and they'll have a run game and maybe it'll work out well. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all about situation, right? They're settled at quarterback. They have a number 1 wide receiver. Right. They have a number 3 wide receiver. So you stick Kirk in that offense, and it kind of makes sense. But here in Pittsburgh, when we're looking for an upgrade,
right?
Christian Kirk's not going to move the needle for us. It's just,
But yeah, last year at the trade deadline, it would have been a very good move. Trading, you throw a 7th round pick for $16 million guy. There's rookies who are better than he is in the draft. So yeah. I mean, if we're gonna pay anywhere near the top end of the market, which 17 to 20 is not the top end, but you're paying way above average at that point. There's better guys we could get.
Would you guys have done a 5th and they pay half of that $16 million?
Yeah.
Does that seem more reasonable for the Steelers to do?
It seems more reasonable, but
But the Jaguars wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
we
just saying,
cut him.
from a
I
Steelers
didn't want him-
standpoint, would you do something like that? Would you?
What would
you'll
they have gotten
cover?
Yeah, if you were paying him 10 or 8, yeah.
Yeah,
You
okay.
think that's what he would have gotten in free agency? Because I think people were looking at, what, 6 or 7 in free agency? If he got cut?
Well,
I
to
don't know. Maybe
David's,
it was more than that.
to David's point, you don't have to worry about bidding against anybody else. You
Yeah.
get him.
Yeah.
And if they ate half the salary, or he agreed to restructure his contract, you never know. Now, it'll look stupid on the Steelers' part if it gets announced in the next 3 days that Christian Kirk has renegotiated his deal to 3 years, $30 million, and 15 guaranteed, something like that.
Somber, to answer your question, yes, Christian Kirk is 5'11", 200 pounds even.
Yeah.
Which about Deontay's height.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. I agree with Bob. Like we had done it last year before that trade deadline and some kind of deal that made sense. Then like I would have been okay with it because we needed somebody, and it felt like the only decent option that was left. But now I think when you're looking at rookies are a gamble, but I feel like he's a gamble too, and he could be an expensive gamble. And so I don't know that I think it's worth it. I'd almost rather roll the dice on another rookie in the draft in a later round and hope that you get more out of him, because
on the cheap.
We have to find somebody cheap, but we have to find somebody that's productive, that's contributing to this offense. Even if we keep George Pickens, there just has to be somebody.
Does anybody else worry about the musical chairs thing and us getting stuck without a seat at some point? Because, all right, now Kirk's gone. I don't think Metcalf is doable. I really don't. So now Devontae Adams is going to follow Uncle Aaron. If he goes to, the Raiders or somebody, that's where Devontae Adams is going. He's not coming here. So that it's now down to Darius Slayton.
I would bet a lot he doesn't go back to the Raiders.
Go back to where?
The Raiders.
Devontae.
Wherever Aaron Rodgers ends up. I don't know.
Yeah. I think
Devontae's
the one
gonna
place
follow.
he
At
would
some point, he's got to detach himself from Aaron Rodgers and
doesn't seem to want to.
Guy. I mean, he's got some more time left in his career. You would think he would want to.
I mean, Cooper Kupp staying in LA now.
Yeah.
He could be looking for one last multi-year big deal.
Yeah.
At 32, that would be around the age that he's probably looking for another big deal, right? His last one.
Yeah, and
I'm sure.
In fairness to Devontae, he did uncouple from Aaron with Derek Carr, and he still 100
and still produced
1,500 yards.
Yeah, he still produced.
So he's
I'm
not.
telling you right now, if the Steelers get Derek Carr, on a side note, now that you mentioned his name, I'm out. We're gonna have to start a new podcast because I can't do it. I cannot do it.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now,
Yeah,
my
I
head
might.
will explode.
I might have.
If they trade for Derek
Carr.
Carr.
Well, wait a minute. In
That's what I made
fairness,
my
though,
feeling.
if he delivers Devontae,
Ooh.
No, still no. Derek Carr is the epitome of below average.
Yeah,
he gets you to that little point where he teases you a little bit, and then he collapses in the playoffs.
Throws like
down
2
the
or
stretch.
3 interceptions and the game's
No.
over. Yeah.
I wouldn't say below. I'd say average. Because
but when the stakes get higher, Bob, he goes down a couple of notches. When you get closer to playoffs,
he's not Kirk Cousins. I mean, let's face it.
Kirk Cousins.
He
I don't
had the
wanna get
Bengals
that
beat a couple of years ago in the playoffs. He did. And then
what?
Joe Burrow went Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Well,
Oh.
that's when you want your quarterback to step up and match.
Yeah.
He didn't get a chance. He led him to the go ahead, and Burrow came back down and beat him. So it wasn't like, okay, I screwed it up at the end. I mean, Carr did what he needed to do. Burrow was just better.
It's also Joe fucking Burrow. I mean,
yeah.
Good luck matching that. It's going to have to take one of the top quarterbacks in the league to match that.
Not to get too far of a tangent, but that's the whole point of if we can't match Joe Burrow with a quarterback, then why don't we get somebody young and start over?
Well, I don't.
I think they will, but where?
Just-
I mean, there isn't that guy. There's no Joe Burrow this year. Wait,
Oh,
Start
we know
with,
Davey's got a couple guys in mind.
No, but I would even start with Justin Fields. Start with Justin Fields and see how that goes, and then go from there.
Yeah,
I mean,
but we
no Russell Wilson, no Derek Carr.
Right,
I mean,
but we know they're already in trouble. This is just not the season. It just isn't. When it comes to players, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Brooke Pryor said she thinks there's a chance that DK could come to Pittsburgh. If they're able to seal the deal with Justin and call him and say, we've locked Justin in. Do you know what I mean? She thinks there's a chance that they're, willing to to make a substantial offer. She said, they're showing they're not the Steelers that they used to be. They're willing to spend a little bit and take some chances. She said they were willing to do it last year. And she said, and found out too late that they got played by San Francisco, who never intended to trade, Adams. And she said, but they are willing to do the deal, even in negotiation about maybe sending a player, which was not something they wanted to do. But
I mean, if Seattle was crazy enough to do it, I'd do Pickens for Metcalf straight up.
No.
That came up. She asked,
why?
The podcast she was on, they asked her that, would she entertain that, or did she think she would entertain that? And she said it almost kills like two birds with one stone. Like
you're right back in the same spot you were in.
And you get rid of one of your bigger problems. Do you know what I mean? She believes firmly that if Pickens isn't on an extension, that he's going to be a problem, a distraction, going to refuse to participate in camp. And she said, that if it's Fields, if it's whoever it is at quarterback, if Pickens isn't there working with them in camp and developing that chemistry, it's going to be an issue in the season.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, DK's $20 million, basically, you got to pay him this year. When you actually look at what
contract, which is going to be.
But he's also under contract next year.
Is he under contract next year too?
Yes.
Okay.
So you get 2 years versus 1 year with Pickens, because let's face it, even if Pickens goes off, he ain't re-signing. If Pickens becomes a distraction, he ain't re-signing. So there's no good scenario if you wait till the end of the year with Pickens.
But you have to hit on wide receiver in the draft, them though.
But we're right back where we started from. We have one wide receiver.
If you trade Pickens, you're back. Remember, I was the one. I was done with Pickens. And I went, wait a second. I looked at this a little bit, and I was like, no. You have to hit on – you got to draft a wide receiver high then. You have to hope that you get in this draft and Burden or one of those guys falls.
Again, this isn't the draft.
Or,
the second
wide receiver. But
you can get good talent to pair with Metcalf in the second and third round and go forward. Because – you bring Metcalf and pair him with Pickens, you got the same player on the outside.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
You might as well bring Russell Wilson back and just let him throw go balls all day.
I mean,
I get it, but I'm just saying, you trade one for the other, you're back to square one. You have to hit on your wide receiver.
We still have no second wide receiver. I agree with you, and so then we're in the exact same position.
Well, when we bring up draft a wide receiver in the second or third round, Roman Wilson was the third round pick, and that did not go well. So you can hope that maybe Roman Wilson is legit. You could go that route, plus whoever else you draft in the second or third as a wide receiver. Okay. Yeah, you can go that. If that's what you're thinking, okay. But
if you told me right now it was DK Metcalf, Jaden Higgins, and Torrey Horton in the fourth, oh yeah, I'm signed up all day. And by the way,
you're doubling up.
Austin and Roman Wilson are afterthoughts.
Well, you're doubling up on wide receiver in the draft.
Absolutely.
Okay.
When you're relying on a rookie.
With that kind of game plan, Bob, then it's not as bad. I can understand if that's your game plan.
If you're relying on a rookie to be a second wide receiver, and you're not drafting him top 20, then it's a project. Then you're taking a chance again that
it's not.
It could be another Roman Wilson. I know you love Higgins, and I like him too, but there is a world where he isn't the player we think he is, and you're stuck. You can't rely on a rookie as your number 2 receiver. I think we've become desensitized to what a good wide receiver room is in this town. I think we've forgotten. You need good players. Not just hopes and prayers.
Other teams rely on rookies all the time.
But they have, other players.
Who did the Giants have last year?
The Giants stunk last year, Bob. I can't use them as an example. That's an example of what not to do.
Yeah, but Malik Neighbors didn't stink.
Well, a top 20 player, like I said, that's different.
Ryan Thomas Jr. didn't stink.
There are also really outstanding wide receivers that I think are ranked much higher than what we're looking at possibly obtaining.
Higgins was the 4th guy at the combine.
Just because somebody's the 4th guy in the combine or the 3rd guy in the draft or whatever.
It's a question mark. You know what I'm saying?
The point is they're trying to say is they're taking a chance, Bob, on these other guys. When you cannot take a chance and just keep both Metcalf and Higgins.
Exactly.
And know for a fact you have two guys that are productive.
No draft pick is going to be better than Pickens and DK Metcalf. I don't care how good you think they are. You're not getting better than that combination.
Yeah,
you trade one for the other.
I can't swap.
Remind me again where Justin Jefferson got picked.
I forget. Where did he get picked?
20s.
Okay,
it turned out pretty good his rookie year.
Yeah, no, there's guys that
That's
right off
more
the bat
exception
are great.
than the rule.
Well, wait a second. That's the first round, though.
Right.
I thought you were saying you would do it in the second and third.
Right. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
I
what I'm
thought.
saying. You're taking a chance that deep in the draft, especially in a weak wide receiver draft, which we all agree it is. It's not like last year. I don't know. We've
Your boy
forgotten.
Daniel Jeremiah kind of agrees with me. He's thinking. He's thinking
He could be
Higgins
good.
is going
Yeah.
to go in the
Very
late
good,
first
Bob.
round.
But he also could stink.
Right, but he's not thinking about trading George Pickens for DK Metcalf either. He's talking about in general.
They're
like,
the same, right? They're the same player, though. That's
They
what
are.
you
That
gotta
is
remember.
true.
I don't-
But
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you there. However, two of those guys I'd take in a heartbeat. If you give up one for the other, you're still at the same point you were at. It's the same thing. Like you haven't moved the needle at all.
Yeah, and Vaughn in chat is bringing up an excellent name right here, Puka Nacua. I think he was
Right.
a fifth.
Like Somber says they started rookies on defense, but they started rookies on a really solid defense. Do you know what I mean?
they had a great
Yeah.
defense, and they had Darius
We
Slay.
started rookies on
So,
our defense or
a veteran.
offense before too, but they were on a much better system than what I would say than what we've got in place.
For every
And I
Puka Nacua, I can give you a Roman Wilson. You know, it can go bad.
Yeah,
maybe
you're taking
Higgins
a
is
chance.
great. But again, do we want to, if I have 1 and 2 and you're drafting Higgins, yeah, great.
See, I want to take a Metcalf or whoever and also draft one of those guys to group with
Same.
them. I mean,
Same.
my God, that's what we have to do here. We have to take chances on guys that could be really good wide receivers, but also bring one in we know that's proven. If you do that and make those your top 3 wide receivers, bro, now you're fucking cooking. Like that's
Yeah, exactly.
that's the
That's
way
my
I
point.
fucking look at it.
That's my point.
Yeah, and I am not out on Roman Wilson. We talked about this before, and I am just like reinforced in my beliefs because Kabali was talking about this last week. I did an article on it about how people are overreacting to the comments that were made about him not being able to learn that playbook. He said it happens all the time. And he said when he was asked on like a scale of 1 to 5, how concerning he found those comments, he said, like, can I take 0? And he's like, 1, not at all. And he said, this happens all the time with rookies. And, they struggle a little bit, then they stay exposed to it, and then they figure it out. Do you know what I mean? He's like, he's a 3rd round pick, so it's taking him a little time to get out of the starting gate.
Yeah, Roman Wilson's an extreme example, though. There's struggling out of the gate, and there's not being able to get on the field.
Well, struggling out of the gate, but an injury and 2 injuries, and then, on the field and off.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there was a lot that happened to him. Like, so in fairness, I feel like I'd be willing to give him another fair shot. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
believe
I'm
that I
hoping
can
that he turns into
do it.
something for sure.
I
yeah.
saw that a lot of people were saying that there's a difference between reading the playbook and actually being able to go out there and do it in practice. And
Right.
because of his injuries, he wasn't able to physically go out there and do it. And that's what they mean by he had a hard time getting on the field, is because he wasn't actually able to physically do the playbook. That's what really set him back.
See, and that makes a lot of sense. And then just like old ass Dulac's comment just didn't translate well because he can't type that many letters or something.
Right.
So, it just came out funny. So anything else about that group of wide receivers before we pop on to the next topic?
Would love to see one of them go to the Steelers. I would.
Yeah.
I really would.
No kidding. I'm with you on that. So the Steelers announced today that they have worked out a restructure with Cole Holcomb to keep him on the team. They said that he is ready. They've revised his contract, freeing up $4 million. I was trying to pull it up and some change in cap space, and to keep him on the team. They said that he is 100% ready to go, and they value his leadership, in the franchise, in the locker room, and the organization. Were you guys surprised by this at all?
I was a little. I didn't think. I in the back of my mind, I thought he might be gone. So that's good. This is encouraging. They think he can play.
Makes me feel better that like we did the right thing and paid him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at least he's going to be able to like try to play a little bit, for the money he got. I like that we take care of our players, but I also would like them to be able to play.
I mean, that gives us depth at linebacker, which is good. An extra guy like that is awesome.
Yeah.
And there's no downside to this, I don't think. If they think he's healthy, shit, keep him around.
Look,
Yeah.
anytime they free up money, more money to use in free agency, I'm happy. Cole Holcomb, I think, is better than Elandon Roberts when actually healthy.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
Elandon Roberts. Don't get me wrong, good run stopper. But Holcomb is more of your off-ball can cover guy than Elandon can. We saw that this year, how painful it was to watch him out there trying to cover somebody. And like I said, I like Elandon Roberts, but if I had a choice, I'd prefer to have Holcomb.
Hopefully Holcomb can stay like actually healthy. I know that the injury that he had in 23 was like extreme. Do you know what I mean? But prior to that, he has been riddled with various ailments. So hopefully he's able to.
I don't know. I like the thought of Peyton Wilson, Holcomb, and Queen. I like the thought of those three.
Yeah, like that a lot.
And really, I'm trying to think. Is it Mark Robinson is still with the team? Right. I mean, like.
The more I think about it, though, they should bring Elandon back.
Cheap and they could bring. Yeah, thank you.
They should bring Elandon back.
That's what I was going to say. It's because he should come cheap. So technically, if they want to have him out there on rundowns, then yeah, okay, I can dig that.
2 of those 3 linebackers are injury prone. To be nice, I mean, between Holcomb and
right,
what's his name? So I think they should bring Elandon back just as a safety net, not anything else.
No doubt. I don't have a problem.
It's kind. I mean, to me, it's cheap. That's fine. But it's kind of a no confidence in Peyton Wilson. They do the same thing. They do the same.
It's just depth.
You don't think this is no confidence in Peyton Wilson?
Yeah, they're already talking about it. The starting linebackers are going to be Holcomb and Queen, and they'll put Wilson in the nickel and dime packages.
Really?
And by the way, the Elandon Roberts thing, I don't care what down you put him in, unless you're playing the Ravens, who do want to run the ball no matter what.
When they didn't,
every down is a passing down when Elandon Roberts is in the game.
Yeah, you're right. They could. You're right. They get audible and stuff like that. But if it's the down where you know they're probably going to run the ball, then I got no problem with them being out there. I really don't.
Well, if you think about it, Holcomb being a veteran, if he's 100% healthy, he's probably better than Peyton Wilson in the short term. Peyton Wilson's going to be better in the long term, but if Holcomb's 100% healthy, that's a pretty good player.
Yep.
And a veteran,
he looked really well when he was healthy.
So
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
Robinson has one more year on his contract.
Yeah.
Robinson, you said? Okay.
Yeah, and then you throw a third-round draft pick last year who should be a starter, played well enough, it showed flashes. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Peyton Wilson. So, okay, if Holcomb's the depth behind Wilson, that's okay. That's it, because now you can kind of play around Holcomb's injuries and stick him in as needed. But if it's true, if it becomes Holcomb and Queen on the field, and we don't see much of Peyton Wilson in his second year as a third-round draft pick, fuck, just trade him. I mean, are we never going to play the guys that Omar Khan picks?
I don't believe that for a second. Like the Steelers, Mike Tomlin has shown that the depth chart means fuck all, and he does what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. So, I don't know. I personally haven't put a whole lot of stock in whatever pops up on paper. And to me, makes a lot of on-the-fly adjustments. Do you guys agree that Peyton Wilson is not an inside linebacker?
Well, it depends. What does he think he
is?
Play
for LeBeau at outside linebacker?
Does he think he's just a big nickel slot corner? I mean,
an outside linebacker. So he thinks Peyton could
let
play.
us know where you think he should have been playing him.
In college, he was a blitzing off-ball linebacker who got home to the quarterback, if I remember correctly.
So.
Don't let Relic down. He paused Law and Order SVU for us, so we better not be saying anything out of pocket tonight. All
right, Relic. All right.
If we can't beat that shitty show, then we're in big trouble.
I hope so.
Wilson is going to take a massive step forward this year, and I agree with him.
Yeah, I mean,
Poppy said he likes competing some competition in training camp with Wilson.
Competition's good. Let him fight it out. And Bob, your worries will be fine. Holcomb will get hurt by week 7, week 6, and Peyton Wilson will be starting, and you won't have to worry about it.
Well, and my thing is, when you make the comment that they like his veteran leadership or whatever it was they fucking said, veteran presence, that to me sounds like the guy they just want around for that veteran leadership over a guy like Peyton Wilson. Like, not that he's going to be the starter, but I mean, it could happen. Maybe that is the direction they're thinking. I don't know.
I don't think they.
But
Dave froze.
Yeah, Dave froze.
We're going to blame it all on Dave while he's frozen. He definitely laughed at you and stole your mock draft.
Yeah, I just go back again. I mean, this. So let's say you convert him to outside linebacker, which I don't think he should do. Could he be the blitzing nickel corner? Let's face it, he's faster than every Steelers defensive back. So yeah, if you told me he was going to line up in the nickel and blitz, I'd be all about that. I suggested that last year.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, if he's going to be the third wheel in the. I mean, you don't take a third-round linebacker who flashes and say, "Well, let's put you on the bench behind two other guys."
No, I don't disagree, Bob. Like, I think you're right. Like, it doesn't make any sense why you would not play him. That's why I'm hoping that what this report is or whatever isn't true. I hope they're not going to do that. I think that's stupid, to be honest. So, but we'll see. Like I said, it could be anything. There could be a rotation, just like they do at the edge rusher position or something. I have no idea what they'll do.
You got to have depth, and I mean, if Holcomb's the third linebacker, I think you have a really good inside linebacker crew. But if you move him to the front and say, because let's face it, it's the Steelers coaching staff. They're going to put Holcomb in the front because they're going to remember how he played 2 years ago and think, oh, well, he's back from injury. He gets his starting job back. Hey, rookie or not first-year guy. Yeah, you're pretty good, but go sit behind these two guys.
Dave's Wi-Fi went out. He's rebooting his router.
Oh, no.
We got to do okay, let's trash Kevin Colbert for 3 minutes. He'll be right back.
Yeah.
Dave leaving to find Relic.
He's gonna go get him. Uh-oh. Dave must be scared shitless.
That's funny.
All right. So there was some contracts that happened over the past couple of days that could possibly have some implications for Steelers. Saquon Barkley is now the highest paid running back in the league.
Deserves it.
Gave him well-deserved $41.2 million for 2 years. And I just want to say that anytime my boss wants to walk up to me and be like, you did such a great job, we're going to give you a raise, even though you didn't ask for it, I am all on board for that. So that was pretty remarkable. I do think it was well-deserved, but I also find it interesting because it does really kind of reset that running back market. It also sets a precedent. So when you're the other guy that really helped out with your team, you're going to be like, well, I helped you guys win a Super Bowl too, and where's my big pay increase or whatever. And that's interesting given that Najee Harris, whether you like him or don't like him, in a weird free agency period right now, he's one of the better free agent running backs. So that's kind of interesting how that impacts him. But then Max Crosby signed a 3-year, $106.5 million extension with $91.5 million guaranteed money. It kicks in after his 2026 expires. So Crosby, who turns 28 in August, is tied through 2029. It gets an historic contract from the Raiders. And we're getting ready to work out an extension with TJ Watt. So here we are again, once more with the Max Crosby effect. I'm curious what you guys thought about those and how you think they might impact Najee and TJ, if at all.
Well, I hate to, because I know some of us are huge Najee fans, not me particularly. I don't dislike him, but the rumors are starting to pick up steam. Najee is going to Dallas.
Wow.
It's not a done deal yet, but there is a lot of smoke there. Yeah. And I've talked to my brother who's a Cowboy fan, and he's ready to climb up on a building in Atlanta and jump off.
Well, that's one more Cowboy fan in the world.
Yeah, well, he thinks they're getting the broken down version of Zeke. And I said, no, he's more like the
of who?
Slightly better Ezekiel Elliott.
Oh.
That I was like, no, you probably got enough tread on the tires where you can run him like crazy for one season. If anybody's going to overpay a running back, it's going to be Dallas, especially to compete with Philly. So, good for him if he gets 12-15 million from Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, you got to say, like, Najee's half as good. I mean, if you're being not even remotely generous, you'd say he's half the running back that Saquon is, right? He ran half as many yards as him. You could put him in that category. You could make that argument. So make an argument for $10 million when the Steelers were looking, turned down paying him just under $7 million.
I think for Najee, I mean, he's top. Most people, in their opinions, list him as top 5 running backs available in free agency.
Yes.
That probably now with the contract that Saquon got for all these running backs might give them a little uptick, possibly, that are top 5 in free agency. So I could see him definitely getting $10 million by somebody, overpaying like the Cowboys or somebody like that wants to lock down a starting running back. Yeah. I think it'd be either Dallas or the Raiders makes sense to me. Those are the two that I see happening that would overpay because they have a history of overpaying too. So,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they have a history of doing that. So I can easily see that. As far as Watt and Max Crosby go, that's bad for us that they gave him that much Because so I just want to compare. Crosby played in 12 games this past season. He had 7.5 sacks to TJ's 11.5. He had 0 forced fumbles, 0 fumble recoveries to TJ's 6 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries. He had 17 tackles for a loss. TJ had 19. 20 QB hits to TJ's 27 QB hits. And if he's getting 106.5 million, 91.5 guaranteed, man, they're gonna. I don't know what they're gonna. I mean, he's younger than TJ though. But the current contract they gave TJ last time was 112 million for 4 years, 80 million guaranteed, which we couldn't believe the Steelers did. They'd never done that before. Gave 80 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Watt didn't make the stat sheet in the playoffs, so we should start there. But I would say that Crosby didn't even make the playoffs. So
it's tough because I mean, how old's Watt now? I mean,
31.
And it's technically was a down year for him. Don't get me wrong, he's been fucking amazing, and he still has an impact. But it was a down season, so that's going to be tough there. I don't know how this is going to go with them. I mean,
when he's getting older, there's no way to dispute. Father time is lurking in the background. You're looking at the ages this contract would be covering, right? 31, 32.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. When they figured out how to stop him, those stats went downhill pretty good towards the end. So, I don't know. Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was going to say, I didn't catch who the expert was when it was on Starkey this afternoon. And they were talking about TJ Watt. And they were saying, hey, look, here's what I think will happen and here's what I think should happen. He says, I think the Steelers will make TJ by a few dollars the highest paid defensive player in the league. What should happen is they should trade him because they're getting nothing for paying him all that money. They're not getting playoff wins. Yeah, he's a great defensive player, but are we going to make him the highest paid defensive player for the last third of his career? I mean, look, if it's a 2-year deal and he averages more than Crosby, sure, no problem. I'm good with that. But you start paying a guy into his late 30s, which almost, I mean, you think about it, it's kind of similar to what Cam did around the same age. Are we going to they threw Cam $20 million a year for 4 years when he was 31, 32. Are we going to throw TJ $35 million a year for the next 4 years? I mean, it's dangerous. Now, they want to make him look, if it's going to be hey, we're going to let TJ retire a Steeler and we don't give a crap, which they kind of don't, whether they go far in the playoffs or not. We just want TJ to be here. Then, okay, fine. If we're all on board with, okay, we're just going to suck, but we're going to have TJ to enjoy. Okay, fine. I want TJ to stay, but I don't want to make him a $35 million a year player.
Yeah, I think years do have a good reason for what they're going to do with him. I think if it's like Bob said, 4 years, we're going into I don't know. That's dangerous. But I mean, the problem for me is he's, even in his down year, is still more productive than a lot of edge rushers. So it's one of those things. It's like, fuck, down year, yet he's still producing at the level that is at a young Max Crosby's level. It's just, fuck. It's a tough situation that I think they are going to end up paying him that 35 mil per. It's just how long are they going to do it for?
Yeah. And to answer Relic's question, what do we do?
I was going to put that up.
Yeah, what do we do at edge? Perhaps you've heard of Hall of Fame Herbig. That being said,
you missed it, Dave. While you were gone, Bob was watching the radio show, and the guy said they should trade TJ Watt.
Trade TJ Watt?
Mm-hmm.
I would.
Okay.
I would. If I got a good offer, if they got a really good offer.
I love Leanne's reaction every time.
I wouldn't give him away, but look, if you're talking about any Steeler, the guy who's most likely to fetch 2 firsts and something is TJ.
When you tell me that,
I struggle to get rid of iconic players, players that to me are the heart of the team. And
iconic Steeler players. Yeah.
I can get behind the logic of what you're saying, but where I struggle with this is part of the reason why I love the Steelers is because they always believe they're going to make it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's always been the mentality of the team. I don't remember, and I'm old, I don't remember a single year in my life where it's felt like, well, this team is just given up this year, or they're, you know, they're rebuilding, or they're like the Jaguars are right now, getting rid of everybody. Do you know what I mean? And so like every team has its way of doing business and they're all different. But the Steelers have never been that team. And so maybe, you know, some fans hate that. You know, they think we need to have those years to suffer to be better. But I mean, I watched that in Washington for years and years. It's not really all it's cracked up to be. And
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I like the approach that we're somewhere close, and then, you know, we're in this mid range, and then how do we build from there? And there is things I think they can improve on, but
Yeah,
I think
well, just one thing real quick. The one thing I'll say about that is under Art Rooney, we haven't seen it, but under Dan Rooney, he let Rod Woodson go. Is there a more iconic Steeler than Rod Woodson?
I agree with that. I wouldn't have
they kind of forced Troy Polamalu out the door.
Yeah.
He was an
agree with that
iconic guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done that to a few players, you know, put
Yeah.
them in a position where you can retire or go somewhere else. But
They did it
I
to
don't know.
Hines
yeah, to
Yeah.
Hines, I was going to say Hines.
and Bettis. I mean,
Yeah, they do it all the
they're
time.
just
But
all coming back now.
I think we got a little hint of what's to come with TJ Watt. That's his worst production, non-injury, in his entire career. And now they're talking about,
But they say he was banged up. So, like, do we really know it's non-injury just because he wasn't on the bench? Do we know how banged up he was and what that meant? I mean, that, to my opinion, is if he was struggling that much, then we needed to, for his own benefit, have him not play so much, play someone else in his place. And do you know what I mean? If he couldn't do his job.
he's going to be 31. I don't know if we're going to see a fully healthy TJ Watt for 16, 17 games anymore. I have a real hard time with, well, he's got to stay because he's, you know, an iconic player. It's like, I'm going to sound like an old man, but the Celtics did it in the 80s when they had Bird and McHale and Parrish. They had opportunities to trade those guys and get younger and get better players, and they didn't. They held on, and they sucked for 20 years.
I mean,
It cost them 20 years.
In that offensive line, we kept those guys way too long.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you
Way too
The
long.
Pens could have traded Malkin and Letang and fucking
Like
Crosby,
your-
which I don't want to do that. However, they could have made a couple of those trades, but here we are sucking ass. Never mind. I don't want to get on
Telling
hockey
you,
rant.
you can get two if you have the opportunity, and if it's not this year, and he falls off again next year, then you're not getting 2 first-round picks for TJ Watt anymore. If he come next year, he has 8.5 sacks. Then the word's out. He's past his prime, you know, and then you'll be lucky to get a second or a third for him. So if you're going to do it, this is the year. Now's the time. I mean,
Just to piggyback off the hockey analogy, yeah, I love Sidney Crosby. He's a great player, and I have enjoyed watching his career. I watched Wayne Gretzky play for 4 different teams. So nobody is untouchable.
yeah.
Right. I mean, nobody is untouchable, and it happens all the time in the NFL. To me, it's just, well, the Steelers have iced out players or forced out players. I also think that they've worked with and negotiated with a lot of those, I hate the name calling, a lot of other players, you know, on the team. So I really take issue with that. That's not very nice. Okay, so let's switch gears and talk a little bit about free agency. Tampering starts on Monday. Free agency starts on Wednesday. I mean, the insiders, Fittipaldo, those guys all saying you will hear something about Justin Fields on Saturday or Sunday. Or I guess if we don't hear something, the absence of something is something, right? And you know, they already know. They've already talked to him. They already know. You guys think that's true? Anybody you're expecting to hear about?
I think we're going to find out how Justin Fields looks in green, unfortunately.
Do you think he's going to Jets?
It's Steelers or Jets, in my opinion. I mean, I think the Jets will back up a boatload of cash and offer him 3 years because they're not in position to get a quarterback.
I was listening to Zach and Alan Saunders on their podcast, and Alan said that his feeling is that if the Steelers do get it done, it'll be done on Sunday into early Monday.
Yeah.
So if it's the Steelers, then expect something hopefully Sunday night, I'm guessing.
This is the great question. This is the $1 million question, Somber. If they don't get Fields done and it's not Russ, then what's the move?
Yeah.
What's the move, man?
You know what the move is. I know what you're going to say. Just say it.
Uncle Aaron.
The next topic, because they did have the first of their top 30 visits today and had Tyler Shaw. Shaw, is that how you say his last name?
I think you say it's Shuck,
Shuck.
right? Yeah,
Shuck or
I don't know how you
Shuck?
get Shuck from that, but
So
I've
Shuck,
heard-
I don't know how that happens.
When I was
but
watching
from
film,
Ole
the announcer
Miss-
said Shuck and some said
Louisville,
Shuck.
I mean.
So
Yeah, from Louisville there today, along with defensive tackle J.J. Hughes, Pegues, and West Virginia offensive lineman Wyatt Millam. So they were there today making the first of the official top 30 visits. Of course, you have to like put the little asterisk that like they have top 30 visits with lots of guys all over the map. And so I don't know that necessarily means this guy's at the top of their list, but.
Shuck's interesting, man. Some people think he's the third best quarterback in this draft, except for the injuries and all that shit. He's had two broken collarbones and a broken ankle, I think it is, in his 7 years in college. So
Greg
I told you guys,
is
Jack
really
Ham
bad.
supposedly texted Joe Starkey the other day and told him that he loves Jackson Dart. Like he's all in Dart.
my man, Jack Ham.
I mean, that's a big endorsement from Jack Ham.
I mean,
go ahead, Bob.
go ahead. I was going to say, Filipponi was making this point this afternoon to Chris Muller.
So it's a bad
because
point.
I know Starkey is so high on him. Jackson Dart had a terrible Senior Bowl. Everybody was down on him. Yes, he did. He had a terrible Senior Bowl. Everybody was down on him. He goes to the combine, throws a ball 58 miles an hour, and all of a sudden he's high again. But he's the 121st ranked player on the big boards. You don't pick the 121st player in the first round. If we get him in the fourth round, so be it. I'm okay with that.
Whose big board are you talking about?
ESPN's big board and PFF's big board. Have him in the 120.
Now, PFF, please. Please, Bob. Daniel Jeremiah's got him in his top 50.
Well, I could have sworn Dart did good at the Senior Bowl. I thought he had a good
but you
Senior
don't
Bowl.
pick the top. He's in the bottom of his top 50. That's not a first round guy.
Well, I'm with you there. Like I don't.
If you're desperate for a
I don't
quarterback,
take him in the first round. I don't take him.
I would not be happy if we took him in the first round.
If you're desperate for a quarterback, you get Kenny Pickett.
And that is exactly why you should be like,
don't compare my man to Kenny Pickett. That's sacrilege.
I'll say this,
he's got to work hard to get there.
I'll tell you this though, I did like what I saw from Tyler Shuck or Show or whatever when I watched the film on him. I did like what I saw. He made the intermediate passes. He made the long, deep passes. He does have a couple seasons where he ran for over 250 yards as well. So it sounds like a guy that actually can.
To the middle of the field.
Yes, I saw him make all the throws.
Will they allow him? Will they allow him to throw in the middle of the field?
I'll say this though, I think he had a really good wide receiver core too. That Brooks, is it Hicks and Lacey? Like they were also making some pretty nice catches for him too. So
at the Senior Bowl, you mean? I mean, the combine, you mean?
No. I watched a bunch of his stuff from the season, and I mean, like his wide receivers were making some pretty nice catches for him too. So
you need that.
I mean, big tall guy. I mean, if you get him in like day 3, I'd be happy as shit. Honestly.
Shuck is older than Brady. He's only 25, right? He's 25.
Younger than Bo Nix was last year.
He's really old. Bo Nix.
And for quarterbacks, that's not that. Quarterbacks playing until their 40s, so it's not terrible.
Yeah, I mean, he played at Oregon and Texas Tech before he even went to Louisville.
Yeah, because he kept getting hurt, so he had to bounce around and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
did you see Sommer said the two collarbones and a femur from a hip drop tackle? That's nasty, man.
Yeah, he's had some bad. He didn't think he was ever going to play again after that broken leg. I think I read somewhere he thought he was done.
Great.
Yeah.
Sommer says in this order, top 5 quarterbacks: Ward, Chuck, Dart, Sanders, McCord.
I agree, Sommer. I agree with that.
Wow,
list.
all of them ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Okay.
People are whispering.
I was gonna say, Bob, I know you don't agree.
Shedeur is falling.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't watched it, I strongly suggest looking this up on YouTube. Rich Eisen had a diatribe about Shedeur Sanders on
Rich
Monday.
Eisen is so far up Deion Sanders' ass that you wouldn't be able to find him, Bob. So don't use him as.
It doesn't change the fact that he had a good point.
What was his point?
That saying that somehow Sanders came out of the combine as brash and arrogant. Look who trained him to do the draft process. If it's a team he doesn't really want to go to, just like his father did, he famously retold the story about what he did to the Giants in that draft. He walked into a room. They handed him a psychology test that thick and said, "Here, sit down and take this." And Dion said, "Wait a minute, what pick do you have? 10. Fuck you. I'll be gone by then," and walked out of the room.
Great. Deion Sanders was a generational cornerback. Shador is not a generational quarterback. He should be doing the. I know. I get it, but
yeah. Sanders should not.
But
just
you're
be
also the one, Bob, who sat here in the podcast and told us that Shador was nothing like his father, and people couldn't hold what his father did against him. So it can't be both things.
But they are. They are holding it.
But not him. If he was acting brash and whatever the other word was, I forget. But if they said he was acting like arrogant and brash at the combine, that
unnamed,
that his father was acting that way. He was acting that way.
An unnamed talent evaluator said that.
I thought I saw coaches.
No, nobody put their name on it. So
no, there was no name. There was an unnamed coach, is what I saw.
Oh, I thought it was media members that said it. Oh, okay.
They're reporting it. They're reporting it. Todd McShay said he heard it from two different coaches, two different talent evaluators, two different sources told him that Shador was, and he went out of his way to say he wasn't bad. But I guess from what Todd McShay said is he made it sound like he was not interested in anything the team had to say. Any of the questions they asked him, he was just going through the motions. Which, look, if you don't want to play for that team, that's great. But if you start falling down the draft board, and you burn those teams that say, forget it, we're not drafting that guy. Come back to
I think you got to be professional. You don't get to decide where you go. I mean,
the only thing they theorize is that there is a team that has guaranteed him they're taking him, and so he doesn't care. He knows he's going to that team. He's happy.
You know who that team is?
The Raiders, probably. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
His quarterback coach, Tom Brady.
Is that your prediction? Is that your prediction, Bob? That he will go to the Raiders?
Yeah, I don't see him slipping past the Raiders.
Okay. Somber said he had him there simply because of decision making in his arm. It had nothing to do with anything that came out of the combine. Ron says he's an average athlete, told the ball too long, and wilts against elite competition. I would push back that competition was not there for him.
He played in a Power 5 conference. And look, that whole holds the ball too long. You definitely have not watched his tape. He gets rid of the ball super fast. He's the best anticipatory thrower in this draft. He doesn't have great arm strength, but he has good arm strength. But he gets rid of the ball. He does not hold on to the ball. That is not Shador Sanders' game.
I don't know who our new Dave Hates Nick Herbig person is, but next up, Hall of Fame.
That's awesome. I didn't even notice that.
I put the other comment up earlier from him.
I don't hate Nick Herbig. I just don't think he's as good as the rest of some of us here.
Oh, don't clarify now. I don't want to hear it.
I don't hate the kid. I just don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
I know. I'm looking at Shador Sanders' season this past season against ranked teams, against number 17 BYU. He had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 208 yards passing. He had a rating of 156.8. And then against, KSU, he had 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 186.2 rating. So, I mean, he did produce against ranked teams too.
The knock on him with holding the ball too long is people think he tries to play hero ball. And he gives up open short stuff to try to get a deep ball. I'm
just purely looking at stats here just to see if he did perform well against ranked teams. From what I'm looking at here, it looks like, he did fine.
Yeah,
he's an okay quarterback.
I hope he drops. I really hope he drops because he's the only. Look, if they could get him at 21, you got to really strongly consider it.
I just can't endure another reach for a guy that's just not ready because we don't have anybody else. So who's going to play this year?
Well, I will say he's better than Kenny Pickett. I don't think it's that
better than Kenny Pickett. I agree with that, but still in that same stratosphere of a reach.
Well, if you want to compare to like say, if we like Shuck, right? Shuck had 3,100 yards passing. He had only 23 touchdown passes to 6 interceptions. Shador had 4,100 yards passing, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So
but don't forget Dion did everything he could to make his son look better, including not running the ball near the goal line.
He had Travis
pad
Hunter,
those stats,
so that helps too. But we can't punish every quarterback for having a good wide receiver either. Like I said, Shuck had what I saw 3 different wide receivers making really good catches for him. So I don't think it's. I'm not going to go as far as to rank him out of the top 5. I'm not going to do that to George Sanders.
No,
Am I going to say he's
I
the best
agree.
quarterback in the thing? No, I'm not going to.
Top
do that
5
either.
picks? Yeah,
No,
he might.
I
No,
said top 5 quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah, no.
I
He
think
wouldn't be.
Somber didn't even rank him top 5, right? I didn't.
No,
see
he
No,
was-
I thought he had him 4.
Oh, he had
Did
him
he?
fourth.
Did he?
Fourth,
Okay, I'm
yeah.
blind. Okay,
Yeah.
4th.
And let's
That's
just
my bad,
say-
Somber. I'm blind. Okay, he had 4th.
Yeah, Ward, Shuck, Dart, Sanders, McCoy.
I like that.
And let's just say for a second that maybe he was brash and arrogant. What if he was brash and arrogant with the Browns?
It's, I don't. Yeah, we don't know the team. It's
mean,
possible.
I'll put
Yeah.
it this way: if you're going to be arrogant, you better be fucking good. I mean, I'll put it that way.
Bob's
as
trying
far
to say that he's doing it on purpose so the Browns don't pick him, which
Somber, to your ranking, I think I would. I'm trying to find it now. Fuck. I would
I can put it
swap.
back.
Yeah, I would swap. I would take Shuck out of there. I would put him top. I'd put him like 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
It would go. Cam would go. Dart and Sanders. Those would be my top 3.
Give me Kyle McCord in the 4th or 5th, and I'll be a happy guy.
I mean,
I
as a
don't think he's
backup,
going to be I don't think he's going to be generational. But I mean, if I'm going to, Tyler Shock is pretty good. But I mean, if you're going to stick someone first of all, any of these guys in the 4th, I'm fine with. Jackson Dart, any of these guys. If it's 4th or
round.
later,
Yeah.
if it's day
you're
3, I'm
not
good.
getting Jackson Dart in the 4th. He's not getting out of the early 2nd because the teams that pass on a quarterback, Browns, Giants, Titans, early in the draft, they're going to take Jackson Dart early in the 2nd. So if you want Jackson Dart, or maybe even Tyler Shock now, some people think he's creeping in the 1st round.
Yeah,
You got to take him at 21. Trade
I'm
down.
I would not
Before
do
the
it with
combine,
Shuck.
he was a 7th.
I wouldn't do 21.
I
Before
think
the combine, but-
that's dangerous to do with Shuck.
It is.
There's no fucking way.
It's like that high upside, high floor thing where he's got probably the best arm next to
He's
Ward
got a
in the
great
draft.
arm. But I just
And-
there's no way, dude.
Yeah, it's dangerous. It sounds like an Omar Khan pick to me.
Because if you want me to be honest, with having that wide receiver core and only putting up 3,100 yards and only 23 touchdowns, to me that almost is
I
kind
think
of
people are
concerning.
valuing their wide receivers. None of them are going to get drafted.
Well,
I don't even know if any of them are in the draft.
I don't
to be
know if
honest
they're
with you,
eligible. Brooks is, but look at Brooks' scouting report. A prolific, fast wide receiver.
Yeah,
that
but he's
gets
going to go in this.
separation. He's
It
a
was-
small kid.
Yeah.
He's small. He's a small
Yeah.
kid.
It was
But when you
Pitt that
watch the
brings
tape,
up a good point.
dude, I watched Lacey and Nix,
Yeah.
I think was the other wide receiver for them, and Brooks make some great catches for Shuck. I mean, they did really good. Now, nothing against Shuck. He did good too. But in general, that's the kind of thing that it makes me like, you only produced 100 yards and only 23 touchdowns with that group? I don't know.
That's a good point, but
And I think Big Poppy brings up a good point.
yeah.
You can't just go by stats. He corrected himself and said Pitt, not PSU. But, he
Yeah.
does bring up a good point that, you can't just go entirely off
True.
of that.
True. I mean, there's more into it, obviously. I'm just strictly going off stats.
You're right.
But I did, like I said, I watched the film on Shuck, and
Yeah.
he's a guy that if they take him day 3, I'm happy.
Fun
Yeah.
throwing up some stats.
But if
there.
they take him fucking 21, I'd lose my fucking mind. That's my
Yeah.
whole point.
And I'm with you on that. Vaughn was very adamant about him being the slowest thrower. So he brought up the time from PFF at 2.89 seconds time to throw in 2023 and 3 seconds in 2024, which makes him the slowest time to throw in this draft class.
That's one of the knocks on him is, like I said before, he's trying to play hero ball and not take the open underneath stuff. I don't know.
You got to understand who his quarterback coach was. Deion Sanders paid Tom Brady to coach his son in the offseason. Tom Brady knows Shedeur Sanders better than anybody.
Man, that must have been nice.
Well, good, then you can have him. Like, really, goodbye, good riddance.
Yeah,
Go do whatever illegal
it's going to be a
shit
moot
you
point
want.
because he's going 6th. But
Yeah.
if he did fall, the whole you can have him. I mean, at this point, you got to pick somebody. And he's better than Jackson Dart.
I don't know if you can say that. I really don't. I'm not giving you that one.
Bob
I'm
just with that right hook. Bam,
Yeah.
better
You're
than
not
Jackson
getting
Dart.
that one past
These
me.
are all guys who are 3rd and 4th round picks. Look, it's going to be just like the Pickett draft. There's going to be 2 though this time that go in the 1st round, And I don't think any of these other guys are going to go. It's just like, oh, well, Malik Willis is going to go in the first round, and Matt Corral is going to go in the first round, and all of a sudden, none of these guys got picked till the third, and most of that class hasn't even gotten on the field.
I got to say, I cannot wait to see what Jackson Dart and Shador Sanders' careers are like because of these two knuckleheads we're with.
I'm
I
dying on the
wait.
hill. I'm dying on the hill of
I
Jackson
can't
Dart.
wait to see
I'm dying on the hill.
the world burn for one of you.
Yeah.
Watch
All
them
right,
both
guys,
suck.
before we go tonight, I want your prediction on Monday.
Ooh.
Tampering period starts. We have our show on Monday night. Do you guys expect that we will have one of our quarterbacks signed before we start our show, or know that it's imminent, rather, I should say, because it's a tampering period?
Yeah.
Know that the deal is imminent when we start the show on Monday. And do you think it will be Fields or Wilson?
Ooh, man.
Who wants to go first?
Thanks, Carter. That's my girl, the Pirates girl.
I
Oh, is that
don't.
the Queen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really?
She's my friend. She's awesome. Yeah. So it's
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't think they will have one of them signed by the time we get on air Monday.
Okay.
I think Justin Fields is going to hit free agency, and it's going to take a couple days.
Bob.
And Roman Wilson is pull lever in case of emergency. That's a week away. If everyone else is gone, I hope
I do
anyway.
think he's going to have to wait. Like, he might have to wait on the carousel for like a go around or two before anybody takes him off.
What I said about Derek Carr, if they sign Russell Wilson on day one, I'm going to have about the same reaction. Like, if that's their guy, if that's their plan, yeah, it's very disappointing.
Yeah.
If they lock him up on day one.
Yeah.
I mean, I truly hope that Justin Fields is signed. And like David was saying, maybe Sunday night we hear about that, early Monday morning. Yes, I would love that. If he goes to free agency, I don't think we get him back. I don't think Russell Wilson will sign day one. I think Russell Wilson could have to wait till the draft. He could sit out that long because I don't think
I think it's going to be a while.
The only wrinkle that I would throw in is if Justin Fields signs somewhere else and they get aggressive because they feel like they gotta have somebody. Don't count out Danny Dimes being a Steeler by the end of the day Monday.
I'd rather have him than Russ.
I agree.
I'm going to stop there.
I'm going to go ahead and predict the Steelers sign Fields by Monday. They overpay, 2-year deal. That way they still have them and draft one next year if, they get lucky and get a certain individual that I would like them to get. Look for – so, Bob, I don't know if you saw my text the other day. They're not franchising Chris Godwin. The Buccaneers are not franchising him.
Yeah, I saw that. The rumor, which makes me wonder what kind of shape is that leg in?
I was waiting for you to bring it up, and I was like, okay, he didn't bring it up, so I'll bring it up. So Chris Godwin, if he's okay, like if he's healthy, I would love for the Steelers to pounce on him. Don't forget my boy J.K. Dobbins. There's the rumor that he might.
I've already said I'm on the. If it's cheap, I'm on the J.K. Dobbins Blue Cross Blue Shield train.
One last
I bought
one.
Stock.
One last one, and I know he's an edge rusher, but he could be in that rotation of those 4 guys. I'm telling you, Mike Tomlin loves Chase Young. He might come cheap. Yeah. I'm not sure. You know how Tomlin is about guys he wanted and missed in the draft, and now they're available. Yeah, I don't know why. I got this strange feeling Chase Young is coming to the Steelers. I can feel it in the pits of my stomach.
Trade TJ, sign Chase.
I think they might go get it. I don't know what his price tag will be, though. That's the only thing that makes me want for them.
Watch out for the kid from UCLA, though, in the draft.
Okay.
I want the kid Milton Williams from Philly. That would be my dream scenario if they got him. He's only 25.
I'm hoping that a DJ Reed, Travarius Ward, or a Byron Murphy ends up with the Steelers. That'd be nice, but we'll see.
Let me ask you guys this: beside quarterback, do you expect them to sign a big name on day one? Are they going to be in the mix?
If they do, I think it is DJ Reed. I don't love that idea, but I do think if they make a splash in free agency, I think because DJ Reed is not going to last. He's by far the best cornerback available.
So I think one big signing. I do think they make one
day
splash.
One big splash. You think?
One.
I think
one.
they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna be able to do it.
I think they will, and I have a feeling it might be somebody that surprises us all a little bit, sort of like Patrick Queen, you know, where you're like, oh, that makes sense, but I really hadn't thought about it, or wasn't necessarily on everybody's radar.
That'd be fine. It makes it exciting. Like,
the
I
Chiefs
agree.
franchised
Something
the
to
guard.
talk about.
Yeah, the guard, Trey Smith, I think. Was
Yeah, he got franchised, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, he got franchised by the Chiefs.
oh
They
yeah, I
traded
also
Joe
had
Thuney.
your maybe Mekhi Becton. That'd be cool.
I like Mekhi Becton. I would be okay with that too.
Yeah.
I would be very okay with that.
Yeah. All right,
Javarius Ward, I
guys,
like
we
too.
appreciate you. If you have joined us tonight, hung in there, dropped some comments, and chatted it up with us, we really do appreciate it. We will be back for our next show on Monday. Hopefully, we have some exciting news.
Up 1 second. There is a new Steelers Sanctuary podcast that'll debut on Sunday night.
Okay.
We'll be talking about the draft.
Bob and I are gonna do a little draft thing.
Oh, good. Oh, that's exciting.
Nice.
What time?
So we're not sure yet. 6:30, somewhere around there.
Okay. All right. Well, then stay tuned for more details on draft show. And we will be back to see you all on Monday. Please give us a like on YouTube, share and subscribe to the podcast. Follow all of us on social media, as well as the Steelers Sanctuary page and the Steelers Sanctuary podcast page. And fingers crossed for an exciting weekend. Let's go, Justin Fields.
Yes.
Ain't nothing over till it's over.
What's that from, the 80s?
It's probably the 70s.
Now what the fuck are we supposed to do?
This is disappointing as hell.
Yo, come back now, you hear?
Saw that coming.